All right, today we have a 2002 Ford Windstar. Our customer has been informed that she needs some new rear wheel cylinders, brake shoes, and hardware on the rear brakes here. So we're gonna go ahead and replace all that. We got all our parts from autopartsdirect2.com that saved us a lot of money over buying it at a local shop. So first thing we're gonna wanna do is just go ahead and jack it up and get the rear wheels off. All right, so we've got our wheels off the van. We got it jacked up. We got it secured with jack stands underneath the rear axle. First step is just go ahead and pull the brake drums off. In this case, it came off real easy. If they're stuck at all, usually hitting them a little bit with a hammer will pull them right off. Now you can see that this wheel cylinder's been leaking quite a while. All this grime and gunk in here, see all that? It's just brake fluid that seeped out of the wheel cylinder, and it's saturated the whole inside of this brake drum. Unfortunately, when that happens, really best thing to do is just replace everything. The brake shoes are saturated with brake fluid, which means they're not going to be good anymore. The paint and all the protective coating is peeled off all the springs, which if they get water on them, they'll just rust and fall apart. So you really just want to go ahead and just replace everything. So that's what we're going to do. Our first step is going to be just start removing the springs. Now, one very important step or thing to keep in mind when doing rear brakes, you want to do one side at a time. Just completely do one entire side before you even touch the other side. The reason for that is that you can use one side as a reference on the other when you go to put everything back together. If you can't quite remember where something went, you can look at the other side and go back to it as a reference. So right now, it's all still assembled. We've got our two retaining springs here. We got our tension springs here and down here. So we'll just go ahead and start popping those off. Now I've got a special tool to remove these retaining springs, but you can use just regular pliers or whatever you like. So first thing we're going to do, you want to push that in and turn it, and that spring will come right off. And do the same on the other side. What I'm doing on the back is I'm pushing back. See this pin right here? I'm pushing the pin forward so it doesn't push in when I push my tool onto it. Now those springs are undone. You can see the brake shoes are pulling away now. What I'm going to go ahead and do next is just unclip the bottom of the shoes from these brackets right here, and that'll give you some free play on the springs, so it's a little easier to disconnect them. So I'll go ahead and just pull the spring out. Another good idea, as you pull parts out, put them on the ground exactly like they were in the car. So this one sat just like that, so I'm going to put it in the same orientation so that when I go to put the new parts on, I can compare to that. Now our next step, let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and take off this spring. They actually make a special tool for it. Unfortunately, I couldn't find mine right now, so pliers will do. Now one brake shoe is completely off. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to set it exactly like so on how it came off. Now this spring, I want to remember where that went. So I'm going to go ahead and get that out of there. And I'm going to go ahead and clip it back into its little holder that it was in down there. Now up here we have this is the self adjuster. Do the same exact thing. Came off just like so. So I'm going to go ahead and, you can see I'm basically reassembling it all right on the ground. Alright, all we have left to remove as far as the brake shoes is this brake shoe away from this is called the parking brake arm or parking brake lever. What holds it in is this little clip right here. I'm going to clean it off a little bit so you can see it better. Just using some brake clean. Basically, it's just a little horseshoe shaped clip that it's a soft metal, and it's made so that you can pry it apart. You want to just kind of work it with a screwdriver and get it to pry apart some. Once you get it, you can see the gap in it opened up a little bit. Once you get to that point, you can take pliers and just kind of push the open end back towards the other way. It's just a matter of working with it. Oh. All right. Here's our clip. Our hardware kit we got from autopartsdirecttoyou.com has the brand new ones of these. You want to save them anyway for reference, but we'll be replacing that with new ones. You can see here how caked up and just saturated these brake shoes were. They really weren't doing anything when you applied the brakes, because it just, that's not going to help stop the car. So we're going to set our brake shoe, same thing, just like it came off. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of place the springs where they sat. And that's generally how it was all set up. All right, our next step, we're going to go ahead and take off the wheel cylinder and install our new wheel cylinder. We got these also from autopartsdirecttoyou.com. They're brand new Dorman parts. Dorman has a lifetime warranty on their parts. You can see here, that's what the new one should look, or will look like, and that's what that looked like at one time. Now all this comes from the back of the brake drum, so we'll show you that angle as we disconnect that. All right now we're looking at the back of the brake drum. You can see right here is where the brake line goes into the wheel cylinder, and then you have two small bolts that attach the wheel cylinder to the backing plate. I'm going to go ahead and break loose the brake line. I'm not going to unscrew it all the way, because as soon as it's all the way out, it's going to start leaking brake fluid. So we want to have our new wheel cylinder ready to put in quickly. We've got our brake line out most of the way. We're going to go ahead and break loose these two smaller bolts. Okay, now that we have the two bolts out, I'm going to go ahead and get my new wheel cylinder ready to pop in, because as soon as I take that other line out, you'll see it'll start leaking brake fluid right away. So I'll have that sitting by. Okay. Now with a little pry, that old wheel cylinder pops right out. You can see how old that thing is. Okay, and now our brake line, you can see, is sitting here dripping brake fluid, so we want to go ahead and get our new wheel cylinder. At least get the line started on it. Just slide that back into place, get everything lined up, and go ahead and get the brake line threaded into the back of it. As soon as it starts threading, it'll slow down the leak. You don't want to tighten that line until you get the two small bolts started. Now we've got the wheel cylinder bolted in and the brake line back in. Let's give them one more snug, make sure everything's tight. Okay, now we'll go back to the front. Ready? Okay. All right, we've got our new wheel cylinder in here. You can see how much better it looks, especially when you compare it to the old one. Next step, before we start reassembling everything, I'm just going to clean up the backing plate here a little bit. I'm just using some regular brake parts cleaner. It's not going to look perfect, but it'll get the majority of the brake fluid out of there. So you don't want any loose brake fluid in there contaminating your new shoes. All right, we've got our new brake shoes all out of the box and lined up. Now you want to match up. Okay, you can see on our old brake shoes, we had this little metal nub sticking upwards. And so we're going to want to use the same exact one. You know, when you lay them all out, you have one that's going up and this one's going down. This will be for the other side. So this brake shoe is going to be up just like so. And this side will be just like so. Now, first thing I'll do, we're going to open up our new hardware kit that we got from Auto Parts Direct to You. You'll see it's full of brand new springs and hardware. Now, you'll often not use every piece of these. Sometimes they give you extras. Like, we're not going to be replacing these. These are just, I don't know what they are. They're plugs that go in the back of the brake backing plate. These are our new retaining springs. You can see they have the clip already in there. It also comes with new retaining clip pins. You can see the difference between those two. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out by just going to go ahead and slide one of those through. And I'm just going to go ahead and pop our new retaining clip on there. The way this works, it's got the slot in it, and when you compress it, you want that slot to go over the pin and then you turn it a little bit, which locks it in place. Just like that. Now one other little thing, I don't know if, well, you can probably see it on this side. See how this brake wheel cylinder, it's got a groove in it. That's supposed to line up with this slot on the brake shoe, and it doesn't. All you have to do is turn a little bit. You can take a small screwdriver and just turn it until it's in the right orientation. Now on our back brake shoe, you remember we had to disconnect this e-brake lever. The e-brake lever itself comes up like this. So when it's up in the position, it'll be going through this hole like that. So what we'll do is just put that like that. And then we take our new clip here, slide it over the pin, and just squeeze the end shut. Like that. Now that's attached. So now this will slide back up here, and it's going to sit like so. We'll go ahead and put our retaining clip on there.